So yesterday, hi Josh, good to see you. Good morning. Good morning. I'm going to leave now. No, just kidding. Yeah. So yesterday we spent some time first thing in the morning looking at the internet, and we had a wonderful panel up there. One of the gentlemen that couldn't be with us was Josh. He was too busy. But anyway, so we begged him to come this morning just to take a few minutes. Josh not only has also kind of mastered the concept of Craigslist, but because he is weird like some of us, he actually thinks about how to teach it and explain it. So he had done a really nice thing about how he explains how you work Craigslist, and ask him to come up quickly and just share that with you. Before we get started, tell us a little about yourself.
Sure. I have had a license for, last year was my first full year as having my license. I was a real estate investor 3 or 4 years prior to getting licensed, and have been playing around with Craigslist for 4 or 5 years. When I was an investor and didn't have my license, I used it to fill a lot of vacancies, find properties to purchase, and it just kind of evolved. And once I got licensed, then I really started to create a system and a strategy around using it and building my business, not solely around it, but using it as a great tool, and obviously a free tool, to generate a lot of leads. And most of my production from '09 could either be directly attributed to Craigslist or sort of linked to Craigslist by referrals of folks who originally came from Craigslist.
Now, how are you doing this year? As good, not as good, better? How's it going?
About the same pace. About the same pace. We're in a pretty conservative market. I'm actually in Harrisburg, PA, which is essentially the capital of PA. Conservative market, relatively low prices. Our average home price is about $160,000, and I cater more toward the investor market, which the average home price for that market is more like around $100,000.
Now, they can get what we're fixing to show them on this website right here?
Yep, you can get a PDF version of this that you can print out, and a more detailed version of what we're going to cover this morning. And also, we put on, every Thursday, we put on a little workshop, which is even more in-depth into the strategies that we're going to talk about.
And that workshop is where?
They get all the access there. It's an online workshop. So if they check that out, if they register there, they'll get the access information.
All right. I'm just going to give everybody a minute. We're just going to be silent. We're going to let you write that down.
It's a bit of a mouthful.
It is, by the way.
It's quite long.
Thanks a lot. I don't want to click off of it, so we're just going to be silent for a second.
Okay.
Tony, did you get up and work out this morning? I didn't either. I heard Diana saying that she did, and I went, "You're sick. You're just a sick woman." Walked here. Oh, good. You walked here. Yeah. All right, got it? All right, let's go. Now, this is the big version, but let's take this into its component parts.
Yeah, and let me just I'll take 10 seconds, and this was, I am not artistically talented at all. I'm going to give some props to my mom, who is an artist, who created this for me. I kind of gave her the concept, and she went and created it for me. So
thanks, Mom.
Just a little shout out to the mom.
All right. So there's basically 6 steps on this.
6 steps. Yep. First one is by far the easiest. Create an account with Craigslist. If you don't already have an account, it's super simple. When you go to Craigslist.com or Craigslist.org, in the top left, there'll be an area that you can click to create an account. They will make you phone verify the account to make you sort of prove that you're a real live person. I get a lot of people that tell me, that ask, do I need a bunch of accounts to follow this system? No, we personally have 2 accounts. All of us here, I'm sure, have 2 verifiable phone numbers, a cell phone and an office or a home number. So all you need, and really 1 is probably good enough to get started, but that's very, very simple, the easiest part. Into the meat a little bit, choose a campaign. What I'm talking about here is, what kind of leads are you looking to generate on Craigslist? You need to have a strategy. So I see so many agents that just post their listings on Craigslist because they think that they should be doing that, and they see everyone else doing that. But you have to be strategic with it. Just because it's free doesn't mean that you don't create a strategy and a system around doing it. So to choose a campaign, in our local market, We've tested a bunch of different things. The campaigns that get the most volume of leads for us right now is foreclosure, bank-owned, short sale, the deal seekers. Obviously, foreclosures and short sales being such a big buzzword, that's going to get a lot of attention. We also, in our market, we do a lot of lease options. So lease options is another campaign that we use to generate leads for people who either can't qualify for a mortgage or don't think they can, even though many of them can in actuality.
So RTO is rent to own?
Right, I'm sorry, RTO is rent to own, lease option. But some other ones, it's not limited to that. Some other ones that we've had success with is we have actually found more high-end luxury type home buyers on Craigslist. There aren't as many, but that segment seems to be growing. We've also, because we cater to investors, we offer apartment buildings available for sale. If you work with investors, that's a great campaign. You don't get a ton of leads, but the leads are very receptive to you reaching out to them, and they're looking for expertise and help. And just one other, again, I don't want these examples to limit your thinking, but we've even had success building a campaign around a local neighborhood within a Craigslist market, because the Craigslist kind of breaks it down by geography.
So I'm going to set an account. I'm going to choose a campaign.
Yep.
Campaign for you essentially means pick a type of property. Think of a buyer that would be buying that type of property.
Yep.
Okay, gotcha.
Now, to create the campaign, you can do one of two things. A lot of times, we will build an ad simply to offer a free list of homes based around the campaign that we chose. So a free list of bank foreclosures, or a free list of rent-to-own lease option, free list of apartment buildings for sale. But you can also incorporate the campaign with your listings. So if you've got listings, and I wasn't here yesterday, but I was able to watch a small clip of Bob up here, and he was talking about using creative titles, okay? And that is critical. If you're posting your own listings, you want to use creative titles, but you want to incorporate your campaign into your listing as well. So even if you're posting a specific property for sale, once that gets the click and it's opened, there should be a call to action for your lead capture mechanism, your free list or free report or something like that. It's got to incorporate that. So you can either incorporate it into your own listings that you're posting on Craigslist, or simply post listings specific to the campaign. So you've got the title. Now, Bob mentioned, and he gave some great creative examples, because in most markets, Craigslist is growing, and therefore there's more and more listings on there, and you got to cut through the clutter. You got to do something to get the prospect, the potential consumer's attention, and Bob gave some great examples. But another thing I like to do, which is a little bit of a ninja trick, is I like to switch back and forth between attention-getting headlines like that and then keyword headlines. So if you use, Google has a free keyword tool. If you just Google keyword tool, they've got a free keyword tool. Around your campaign, put in your keywords. So if my campaign was bank foreclosure listings in Harrisburg, I would go do a search and see which one of those terms gets the most search traffic on Google, because Craigslist has great search engine optimization juice, which simply means if you build a post, a listing on Craigslist around some good keyword terms, you will potentially be able to get traffic from Google, okay? So most searchers using Craigslist go to Craigslist and then search. But if you use keywords in your title and in the body of your post, you can actually get additional traffic to your post from the people who are going to Google itself and Googling the keyword term that you put into your listing. So that's, I like to go back and forth between that curiosity-driven, cutting the clutter title, and then the ones with the keyword-driven. The last part of that, before we get to the next one, is just having a lead capture function of some kind. So whether it's, we've found that the most effective as far as numbers, sheer volume of leads on Craigslist, is keeping them online. So you take them to a lead capture website or a squeeze page. But I was actually talking with somebody.
A squeeze page?
Yes.
I haven't heard that before.
So, but I was actually talking with someone this morning who I've never met him before in person, but he kind of has followed our trainings and so forth. And he was mentioning that he's using 800 numbers very effectively as well. So you don't have to use a lead capture squeeze page. you can use, if you've got an 800 call script, that will work as well. Now, he did mention, and I would reiterate this, you won't get as many leads through an 800 call capture, but you'll get better quality. The leads that you get will be better quality. So that's a decision in your own business that you have to make. Do you want less leads, or do you have a team that you need to be feeding lots of leads for? So the next one is to actually, so the first three are all about getting your ducks in a row, okay? They're getting your ducks in a row so that you can do number 4, which is actually start posting your ads. So implementing the strategy that you create in steps 1 through 3. So one of the biggest mistakes I see agents make is, and I, for several years, fell into this trap of posting my ads at the wrong times of day. Because if you think about it, you need to get into the head of the potential consumer. When are they going to be searching on Craigslist? Because the way Craigslist works is, if I go and post a new ad right now to a city, my ad is on top. But every time someone posts a new ad, my ad gets bumped down the chain. So you want to be as close to the top of the listings at the times that your potential consumer is most likely to be searching. So think about who you're creating the campaign around and reverse engineer when are they most likely to be searching. So I'll give you just some rules of thumb. Early in the morning, 8:30, folks have just gotten into work. They maybe have a couple minutes, if their workplace allows it, to surf the internet. They might get on there. Their lunch breaks, and then in the evening, usually, and this varies by market and by season, because if it's nice out, people may eat dinner and go out and exercise or play with the kids, whatever. So we find that in the summer months, later in the evening work better, and then in the winter months, a little bit earlier in the evening works better. If you're going to use this strategy, and you should all be using this strategy because it's free, and just with a little bit of following these principles, you can generate. It can be a whole new source of leads or an additional source of leads for your business. But if you're going to do it, you gotta post consistently, and I think I heard Bob mention that as well. You have to post consistently, and I recommend a minimum of 2 times a day. If you're in larger markets, you may have to bump that up. You may have to do it 3 or 4 times a day. But the nice thing is, if you use good strategy and you're posting at the right times of day, you don't have to post you don't have to be posting 10 or 20 times a day to get results. You use better strategy and work harder or work smarter rather than harder. So in the next step is the follow-up. And the gentleman that I was talking with this morning, this was his biggest thing. He found that now he's generating all the leads he can handle, and I think we can all agree that follow-up, if you don't have follow-up, well, then all the leads in the world don't mean a hill of beans.
That's right.
So what we found is our follow-up is very varied. We offer a bunch of different things to the potential to consumer because they will respond differently depending on what their motives are. So things that we do are we've got automatic emails that go out. If we get their phone number, we make outbound calls. Typically, we try to make 3 calls to them within the first 48 to 72 hours, and we try to do it at different times of day. So if we call them first at noon and they don't answer, well, then we're going to try them again in the evening, and if they don't answer, then we're going to try again in the morning, and then we're going to set them on a longer drip. Some other things that we've done that will get more people, more potential leads to raise their hand and respond are offering tours. So we'll do foreclosure tours in our market. We'll take Saturday morning, line up 5 or 6 properties, tell everybody that we're going to meet at this first property, and we're just going to carpool around to check out these various deals in this school district or this part of town, township, whatever. And we've also done seminars. So we've done seminars educating on the buying foreclosures and what the hazards are and things like that. We've done seminars on financing options. We've done seminars on lease optioning, rent to own, because people don't understand that. So varying your calls to action once you've got the lead is going to help you convert a higher percentage of the leads in total. And then the last step, and I mentioned this a little bit at the front, but I'll mention it again. Just because this is a free medium it doesn't mean you should treat it as though it's free, okay? You have to treat it...
You mean actually treating it as if it's insignificant.
Right, exactly. And
don't do that.
Yeah, because the amount of people and consumers on the website every day is mind-blowing. So the last step is actually to track and improve your results, okay? It's the most it's the most boring part of it. It's the most for me anyway, the least exciting part of it. But
well, that's true for everyone in this room, because it's the cerebral part versus the action part. This
right.
is the analysis part. This is, I hate to say it, it's the geeky part of doing something like this.
Yep. Now, so when you're tracking, a couple things that I recommend to track are, so if you're sending them to a lead capture squeeze page or your 800 number, one of the easiest things to track is, okay, how many hits did I get today, or how many hits did I get this week versus last week, or versus yesterday, or versus last Thursday. That's a pretty easy one, and the technology is there to do that. The things that are not quite as easy, but can have an even more dramatic impact, is tracking things like, how many hits did I get from this ad that I ran on Monday at 3:30 versus Tuesday when I ran the same ad at 2:30. Okay, because slight changes in when you run your ad and being closer to the top, you can see great factors of incremental increase in traffic and leads, just with little tiny tweaks. So the other thing to track and to test is your headlines, okay, your titles, your calls to action, and then also your calls to action in the body of your post, whether you're putting a call to action in a post for an actual listing that you're selling, or if you've got a post that the only call to action is the free list that you're offering. You want to test that and see, okay, how many clicks or how many calls did this headline and this body copy get versus the one that I used yesterday. So by doing that, and you're either getting better or you're getting worse. So if you're tracking and you can improve upon your results, if you let that go, it's only going to get worse. It's not going to get better.
How do you specifically track?
Technology makes it nice. What I will do is create a little spreadsheet of, okay, I ran this ad on this day with this title and this call to action, and it posted at this time, and we got 23 visitors to our site from that ad. So you need, ideally, there's technology in place that you can very easily track some of the stuff. Some of the stuff you have to manually, but the easiest thing to track and then reverse engineer why it happened is how many people land to whatever site you're sending them to, and how many people call, if you're using an 800 number, how many people called on that ad on that day. So we rely heavily on technology, and we track it, especially early on when you first start doing it. Start tracking. If you do the heavy tracking early on, then you've got a baseline, kind of a control of what's going on and when to post and so forth.
Treat me as ignorant. I don't know anything about tracking. What do you mean you use software or whatever? What am I going to do?
Most lead capture or squeeze pages, or at least I would recommend, if you're using any website tools, they have to have built-in analytics. If they don't, go to someone else, because at this point on the web, they should just have that. And so it's a built-in functionality of any of those sites that you should be using. And most of them will also let you create special links that you can track back to a specific ad. So you can look and say, well, I know that this ad on this day, because I put this special URL code, got this many clicks. And then the 800 numbers, that's pretty easy. I mean, you can see any of those call capture systems. You can see how many calls came in and how many messages were left.
Right. Awesome. All right. What did I leave out? What did we not ask or Josh didn't say that we need to hear this morning? Any thoughts?
No,
He's pretty
slightly over my head, so.
He's pretty clean and crisp.
Yeah.
Let me ask you. Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, no. What I would say is, if this was over your head, odds are if you've got an assistant, they've played around on Craigslist. If you've got a teenager at home,
Yep.
it's really it's easier than it sounds.
Yep.
and find, if you absolutely don't want to do it, feel like you can't do it, find somebody who can, because it will be well worth your while.
Yeah, and the thing I got out of this is, it is a business income producing strategy, and it's not a game to play. It's not a fun thing to do. This can make a tremendous amount of
This is serious
cash
lead
flow.
generation. And
Absolutely.
the truth is, it's just intimidating enough that 99% of the people in your market won't do it. And those that do, 99% of them will simply do it like everything else.
Right, 99. Yeah,
They'll just write a stupid ad, run it, and
exactly, and then say it doesn't work
and then
because
say
they
it
got
doesn't
no
work.
response.
Exactly.
Yep.
It's time consuming. In the beginning, it's time consuming.
Early on, it is time consuming, but once you've got a system set up,
Right.
it can be much more. It can be systemized to the point of, for us in our market, 10, 15 minutes a day, and we get all the leads.
So we just have to be willing to spend the time, invest the time up front to make it work.
Absolutely.
And then it becomes a simple, uncomplicated process.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Josh, thanks for your time this morning.
Thank you very much for
coming.
having me.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Take care.
Thank you.